in here looks a little tired.
I think Jack keeping up at night trying to knock the lining out that motherfucker.
Y'all some dirty motherfuckers, man.
Fuck that shit.
Look here, man. Now that you've been out the joint about 2 weeks, don't you think it's about time you gave me my money?
I told you I ain't had your money yet, man.
Fuck you mean you ain't got my money yet? Motherfucker, everybody know you hid the money from that robbery before you went upstate.
I told you, motherfucker, I ain't got your money yet, man.
What the fuck you mean you ain't got the money yet? Motherfucker, you best be coming up with my cash else, you know what I'm saying?
Fuck you, Jack. Fuck you think you is, man? Motherfucking Ron O'Neal or something? Talking about I better pay her out. It's your bitch, nigga. What you gonna do?
What I'm gonna do?
Hey, hold up, Tabby.
Now get the fuck out the way.
No, squeeze that shit, man. What, I'm supposed to be scared now because you got a pistol, motherfucker? I just spent 5 motherfucking years in the joint. I told you I'll pay your monkey ass when I feel like it. Better suck my dick.
Fuck on
Tad, what the fuck, man?
Fuck you tripping off of?
You owe me some money, motherfucker!
Hell no, but here you go.
I'm your host and executive producer, Brandon Greene. And today, we're bringing you a LA native, a dad, a big homie, and, so much more. Mr. Ken Dogg.
Hello. Hello.
This Mr. Ken Dogg?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, how you doing today?
Man, I'm, chilling.
Okay, man. Well, that's what's up, man. Well, it's definitely, man, we appreciate you taking your time. It's an honor to have you. So let's get straight to it, man. Are you from LA?
Yes, sir. Off the east side.
Okay, so, huh?
So I'm off the east side.
Off the east side. Okay, so for our listeners, man, tell us how it was, growing up for you.
Man, it was rough. Grew up in the projects, Listo Village. Single mom, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The streets, basically, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just trying to make it happen at a young age.
So at what age would you say that you jumped off the porch?
11 and never look back,
Man.
At 11.
At 11 years old, you jumped off the porch. So you say you're from East Village, man. I heard of those projects before. It was serious over there. And that was in the early 80s.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
And how old were you when you had your first brush with the law?
11. As soon as I jumped off the
11.
porch, I winded up in juvenile hall.
Man, so how was that experience for you?
Well, it's funny because, when you never been, you don't know what it's like. But at the same time, your enemies, just for your geographic, they're already turned on. You know what I mean? So
Right.
for me, I didn't know the difference. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming in there, I'm getting hit up. Where you from? I'm like, where you from? Where you live? Aliso Village. I get fired off from my enemy. You feel me? But it was an eye
for
opener
sure.
for me too. You know what I'm saying? It was an eye opener. I didn't know we didn't get along with these people. I didn't know why. I was a kid. But it didn't take much, you know. After that, it was, where you from? I take off, and then we'll find out if we're friends later.
Right. That's just how it was for sure. So now, when you, like you say, when you got up in your teenage years, if you can remember, like how was if you can remember where you was at the time, that crack epidemic, how was that when that first came about?
You know, the crack epidemic didn't really hit until like 84, 83, 84, 85.
Okay.
You know, for me, it wasn't the crack right off. It was the heroin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that's what it was from. Hey, let me step outside real quick. Okay, I'm gonna hurry. Yeah. Let me step outside. Yeah, you know, for me, growing up in the projects, there was a lot of intravenous use. You know, the crack came later. You know, but
Okay.
yeah, I learned that game before I learned the crack. You know, that was first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so it was the heroin game, and then, like you said, the crack game. You learned that, but like, you know, I'm way younger than you, but you know, from what I've seen, like that, when the crack epidemic, man, it really tore the communities apart, and you was in one of those communities.
Yeah.
That where you could really see. How was that?
Yeah, it was in one way, one would think, oh, the crack era was a good era, right? But in another way, it did tear the communities down. You know, for our, you know, some people's parents, you know, watching people that you've been knowing all your life, at growing up, seeing them, you know, sell their bodies, you know, stealing, robbing, just to get a hit. You know, it was a bad thing, but one coming up, we glorified it. You know, like it was good,
Right.
but really it was a bad thing. You know, once one was able to understand it, yeah, it was a bad thing, real bad thing.
Sure. Now, you know, we all, you know, being that you from there, LA, you know, from a distance all over the world, we look at it, but for our listeners, man, can you tell us how it was when the riots, those LA riots?
Yeah, LA riots was off the chain in all actuality. You know, it wasn't nothing safe. If you wasn't there protecting your property, you know, your business, you know, we was in there. And I say we because, of course, I was part of that LA riot scene. I was out there doing everything under the sun, you know? But it also showed at that time, like the unity amongst the communities. Because though we was, you know, doing everything under the sun, we weren't doing it in our own backyard. You know?
Right.
But
Man,
yeah.
there was some times that definitely, you know, I know, like you said, you was right in the midst of it all. I just, you know, seen you know, DVDs and, you know, certain documentaries on that time. So let's go back to the trouble part of it. Like, what was the first time you did some time as an adult?
I did my first stint in the county, I want to say 88. You know,
88.
I went straight from juvenile, doing juvenile time, you know, the YA to the county, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that stint there, It just took me on one long ride of recidivism, you know, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, like a revolving door for me. Because one didn't learn his first time. You know what I'm saying? And you
Right.
know, when we in the street, we trying to make it happen by all means necessary. But at the same time, we wind up in these, you know, in jail. You know, and it's sad to say, but I hit the county fresh 18. You know, fresh 18. As soon as I turned 18, I was in the county jail. You know, so it was like, here we go. You know, how you gonna handle this? You know, in our county jail, I don't know if you know, but our county jail is worse than any prison that one wanted to go to. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So back then it was like, you young, you gotta come in here, you gotta be tenacious, you gotta be, you know, with it by all means necessary, or you'll get eaten up. You know, and that's just it.
Right.
That's
Man,
just it.
that's crazy. So you spoke on earlier, you know, being 11 coming in, you know, not knowing, and then now you fast forward, you 18, and you come into a situation, and then how severe, how rough y'all's county was. Like you said, it's worse than most people's prisons, y'all's actual county.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's funny because it's still like that today, though. You think something would change? Nah, it's the same. You know, you getting up in that county jail, it's like, you know, the only difference is you fading, you know, you fighting, then you got to fight against his homie, and then, oh, well, we got beef with them, but you got to fight him, and you just lined up. But after that's all over, then you good. You know what I mean? So it's like more like only the strong survive in that situation.
Sure. So, you know, I'm the self-proclaimed, you know, voices of the underworld, you know, guys for that's down, and you know, we speaking to them, they family and guys just done got out, such as yourself, and made a life for themselves. But for you, like, how has the mindset back then versus now? What's the difference in your eyes?
Well, to be honest with you,
Yes.
the mindset back then was, I'm going to get it by hook or by crook, or, you know, come up or cuff up. That was my mindset back then. No matter what, I was going to get out there. I was going to go get it however which way I needed to get it. You know what I mean? And I didn't care if I got locked up for it. And that's a sad thing to say, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? And that's where our mindset is when we see these dudes out there as a younger youth, you know? We looking at these dudes, they got the big cars, they got the chains, you know, the rings, and we glorify that. So what we wind up doing is trying to mimic that. So we jump in to try to do what they do with no guidance. You feel me? And,
yeah, for sure.
And with that, right, we get out there, but they ain't telling us about the other side of that coin, which is the jail part. You know, so you walk up in this, you coming in blind. You have no idea what you got in store for you, because nobody tells you about that part. They only tell you about the part that you see in the streets. You know, and that's just
right.
it. That's
so,
just it.
and that's crazy. But for you, you know, because I know you know a lot of young dudes, a lot of guys look up to you. What do you tell the youth?
Now I tell them what it really is, because didn't nobody tell me. You know, I did 18 years and 4 months straight. Before that, it was 5 years, it was 4 years, it was 3 years. That was my life at 56. You feel me? So now when I got somebody up under me, any of my young homies, any of the youngsters that's coming up, when I see them, I'm directing them to school, because ain't nobody else gonna do it. I'm explaining to them what it really is, because ain't nobody else gonna tell them. And the truth of the matter of that is, It ain't cool in jail. Ain't none of that, I'm going to go in there and get swole. There's nothing there for you that you can't see on the street and learn from it. I don't glorify it. You know what I mean? If I'm directing towards the youth, I'm telling them to go to school. Get some schooling. It'll help you. Because nothing in prison is going to help you at all. You know, you can go in and out, in and out, in and out. You won't get no help. Get your schooling. That would be my address to the youth. If you got to go to job corps, try to get a trade, anything, do that, because the streets ain't it. It ain't.
That's cool, man. So you know, I know they call you Ken Dogg, man. They say you've been breeding dogs your whole life. Is that true?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am a dog man. You know, that was my street name, Dog Man. You know, everybody started calling me Ken later on, but my original street name is Dog Man from Aliso Village. You know, First Street.
So
you know?
For our listeners, do you sell your dogs, or is it just kind of like a hobby you just do for yourself, you know, and your family?
No, that's what I do.
1 minute remaining.
That's what I do. I breed. I have Frederick Frenchies. That's one of my endeavors that I dove into. Yes, I have them. So if anybody out there listening, go ahead.
Now, is it like a website or something that maybe, you know, some of our listeners, if they want to look, they can see them? Or
yeah, I'm building, you know, my site, but I can, you know, by the time this airs, hopefully I can have that information up for them. But if they look, it'll be Frederick Frenchies, Northern Cal, you know, and they'll.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Mr. Ken Dogg, man, we'd like to talk to you for a few more minutes. If you could call back in.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
Okay, and this podcast, which is of the Underworld, and we're back with Mr. Ken Dogg.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we closed on that, you was talking about the dogs, and you know, potentially, you know, you had the website up by the time this airs. For our listeners, if it's not up by the time it air, we will, you know, put it on our page, so you know you can get this guy's dog. So I want to go back, you know, for our listeners, you know, we talk about the music and all that. So how was that NWA, that era, man?
The NWA era was a good era, you know. Everybody was out there, you know what I mean, getting their low ride on. You know, that was the era of the mini trucks, you know, with the deep dish and all that old good stuff, you know what I mean? You know, it was all right. It was all right. That was a pretty good era.
Yeah, for sure. I brought it up because, you know, they made a lot of history, and, you know, I know with you being from out there, being right there, I know that hit close to home. You know, that's why I asked you that. And so, you know, you did some Fed time. Is that correct?
Nah, I did 18 years in the state. 18 years in 4 months.
All state.
All state. Yep, okay. 18 years and 4 months, all state.
Now out there, is that like level 3, 2, or like max?
Man, I done been through it all. I did, out of that 18, I did 37 months shoot of 18 out of 18 years. So that's like maximum, you know. I've been in the secure housing unit through my time.
Okay. So for our guys, man, that's, you know, still, you know, fighting they fight within these walls, man. You know, one question is, you know, how do you keep those relationships with, if you got kids, or, you know, over the course of time? How did you do it?
Well, see, I had a good family my family ties was real good, you know. You know, mom was alive at that time, you know, when I was doing my time. You know, female friends, my baby mamas, they weren't around, but my family kept me close with my kids, you know. And then once my kids started having kids, you know, there was introduced me to my grandson. I met my first grandson in prison, you know, and my son would bring him up to me every other weekend. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, it's it can be hard. You know what I mean? It can be hard, but with a good family tie, you know, I managed. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay. Now, also to the guys that's locked up, what's some of the best advice you would give them? You know, ones that will, whether they doing life or they gonna see the free world again.
Don't allow jail to give you a jail mentality. Meaning, you know, because that's where a lot of us make our mistake, and you get that where you're being institutionalized. And what I mean by that is a soup is a soup. It's 20 cents. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
On the poker table, you playing for $1 instead of 20 cents. I've seen people get killed behind the soup. So what I did over my 18 years was kept my mind strong, but to the streets. I was never incarcerated. My body was incarcerated, but my mind was free. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and that's just it. If you know, I basically had a life sentence. If you look at it, 18 years, 4 months, that's a life sentence. You know? That's a life sentence. But I never allowed myself to be trapped with a prison mentality. I always kept my mind clear, you know. That's what it was. You know, you keep your sanity that way.
Sure.
Just like
Sure.
you gotta you gotta be able to not fall into that. Because once you allow yourself to fall into that, you'll become that. You know, I knew one day I was gonna make it home, regardless. Yep, you gotta keep your mind strong.
Okay, so after doing all that time, how was your transition back into society? How did that go?
My transition was pretty good because, like I told you, I stayed to the street. I never allowed myself to be you know, just stuck with that prison mentality. I was always on the street mentally. You know, I had my people outside, and I stayed to the streets. I never locked in with the mind or have the mindset of being incarcerated. And that was just it.
Sure.
And when I came home, I came home to a good foundation. Does that make sense? You know,
yes.
That right there, I came home to a good foundation. You know, I met I met some people while I was in there, and when I came home, those are my friends today. And, you know, we linked up and we haven't looked back. You know what I mean? And that's just it. But I keep my mind fresh. I'm always looking for something new a new endeavor. You know?
Okay, so like, I know you come from a projects, and it's probably, but like you stayed tied to the streets, from a mental standpoint as far, and then also with visits, pictures, phone calls. But you also just mentioned that when you came home, a lot of the people that you still deal with today is the guys that you was behind, did time with, because you knew these guys.
Yeah,
so,
it's funny because it was people that one of my good friends today, is a person that I met in 2006 in prison.
Okay.
And we did some years together, and he went home way before me. But we kept our communication, you know what I mean? And when I came home, vehicle, the things that I needed where I didn't have to go run out and go get, you know what I mean? He made sure I had. And just with that little bit of help, you know what I mean? It really, really, really made a difference. Really made a difference. Yeah.
Well, that's and then what about some of the guys that was from the hood that didn't get locked up, that was there? How was some of those relationships once you got out?
Well, like from my neighborhood, my name is Household. Everybody know me. I bet, it's a staple. You know what I mean? And my homies, well, I could say they did just that. You know what I mean? They looked out for those that could. You know what I mean? They looked out, but I kind of had to get away from that in order to grow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it make all the sense.
I had to get away from that to grow, because if I didn't, I would have winded up back in the same situation. So I moved up to Northern Cal, and that was a big change for me in my life, right there. Getting out, being stable, and moving away. I had enough common sense to get away because I knew me as an individual, I was going to be doing the same things I was doing before I left, which in turn would have led me right back down the same path, And I vowed never to step foot back in prison. And for the last 7 years, I've been good.
Big up, big ups to you for that. So it's fair to say, people, places, and things must change.
Yes, most definite. I ain't yet to see somebody leave those stoops, go back to the hood that they come from, and don't wind up becoming a product of their environment all over again. I ain't yet to see it. And each one of those that have went back, they always revisit the stoop. They revisit. It is just because you're going back to the same people that locked you up. You know what I mean?
Right.
You caught your case in the hood, you go back to the hood, guess who's going to be there? Same police, you know what I mean? Same police, just everything's the same. I was smart enough to get away, Do I go by and, go back to the hood and say hello and how y'all doing? But I keep it pushing. I limit myself to that,
For sure. Well, listen, we didn't cover a whole lot, man. A lot of good, info for our listeners. Is there anything that we didn't touch on, or just anything that you want to say as we get ready to close? Any shout out, anything, any more advice? We welcome it.
Man, look, all I can say to anybody that's listening is if you're going to dream big. And stick with it, because nothing, I don't care what it is you do, will be just so flat and so easy. You're gonna run into obstacles, setbacks. Stay with it. It'll grow for you. It'll grow for you. It will. I came home to just that. I started another business too. I failed to mention. I got excuse me. Man, hold up. All the smoke I'm out here at this ranch.
No
we have
problem, man.
Huh?
I say no problem, man. Take your time.
Yeah, fucking man. I can barely breathe. This fool done started the fire.
Oh yeah, I'm tripping. It's still the fire is still going on.
Yeah, not that fire. I'm out at the ranch, and my boy, he done lit a fire, and it's I don't know what he put in it. It started choking me out. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Look, I got a mobile dispensary. It's called Get Lifted Goodies. You know, and that was another endeavor that I ventured into. You know, and it helped me. Just business, you know what I mean? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here for sure. I hear you.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I was able to make that happen. You know, me and my best friend, and it was just that business mind state. Anything that you can get your mind to do, believe in it. We started it. You know, it didn't look like it was gonna go nowhere. Here we are 3 years later, we're booming, you know what I mean? And it's just sticking with it. Cause we there was times where we were like, man, but we both uplifted each other, you know? And yeah, we grew the business. And today it's you can go online.
You have 1 minute remaining.
You know, you can go online, Get Lifted Goodies, and check us out, LLC. And yeah, it's one of those things, man. But
well, listen, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure for us, man. We appreciate you taking your time out again, man, to talk with us, and I'm pretty sure our listeners would appreciate it as much as we do.
Yes, sir. And it's an honor to talk to you guys too. And I hope any information that I gave will help the next youth or individual, you know?
For sure, man. Well, listen, man, we salute you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, and this is another edition of Dem Streetz Podcast, Voices of the Underworld. All right, love.
Thank you.